What is going on, guys? Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are we all? Can everyone hear my voice and see my screen clearly? Perfect. We'll give it a couple of minutes so everybody gets in the room, guys. And then we are going to get started. But welcome, welcome. How is everyone? Welcome to the YouTube Live. Good to see you all here. We have some important things to talk about. It's been a very interesting week in the markets. How has everybody got on? Yes, nice. Where are you all tuning in from as well? I'm doing very well. I'm doing very well, thank you. Dreddy, Joseph, how are we? Thabile. We're going to give it about another minute and then we're going to get started. From Switzerland, Athens, nice. Top G in the house. Bahrain, marhaba, kifak. Nigeria, Switzerland. Okay, nice. Yeah, so we are filling up. You should be able to see Aussie dollar here on my screen as well. So I wanted to do a live just to answer as many questions as possible. As you can imagine, they get sent in a lot. So I thought I'll answer them here because many of you are wondering about AFT. What is AFT? For those of you that haven't heard it for the first time, you're wondering what is phase 2. I'm going to give you a glimpse oversight as to what we're looking at. Nigeria. Okay, nice. Well, I'm going to get straight into it now because now we've got some people in the room. Yeah, welcome. Good evening. Good evening. What's your name, Mark? Top G. Big tape fan. Right, guys. So something I've been working on for a while so you can understand. The Falcon strategy tests time, right? So it stands the test of time. So when you look over large periods of data, you can see consistently throughout any condition you could possibly imagine, it's working effectively. Now, your goal as a trader is, of course, to understand how the market works. Then you have your rule, you have your method, however you like to trade the markets. Then you work on your psychology. Now, throughout all of that, I've been trading 15 years. I'm never a big fan of tweaking something that doesn't need to be tweaked. But this is something that I'd been noticing over a lot of missed trades. So advanced Falcon trader is AFT, right? So what is being advanced? Being advanced is mastering the basics. So things like this that look very simple, like this sell here that you can see from the top. That sell looks very simple. You could say, oh, the market just resisted. And there is an element of truth in that, but it's the sequence. It's like, why? What happened before? What does this section mean in relation to this? There's so many small, finer details that make up that bigger picture. So advanced level of trading is really doing the most simple things as flawlessly as possible. And of course, the only way to become advanced is time and experience in the markets as well. You cannot become advanced in 6 months. It's just such a small, limited amount of time in the markets. So I've been testing it, thoroughly testing it, and we brought out AFT recently, which we've seen some phenomenal results and returns. But the next stage is phase 2. So this is going to be an extra addition, making it more black and white. So I'm curious here how everybody trades. In the chat right now, how are you trading right now? What's your strategy? How are you looking at the markets? Is it order block, order flow? I mean, there's so many different ones. Elliott wave, support and resistance. Is it an indicator-based strategy? Let us know. Why does this look like SMC? It's got nothing to do with SMC, I can assure you that. Joshua, what's going on? These are arrows. So that might be why you're referring to that. Nature and structure, Falcon, nice. Pure Falcon for now, okay, nice. Yes, Waleed. Okay, nice. Yeah, I was just curious if there was different strategy. Like, everybody's welcome, right? It's explaining the live. So, the simplest way for you just give you a bit of an insight. So I thought I would have a currency indices. So we got indices, equities, and a commodity. So I know many of you like the NAS. You enjoy trading the NAS 100. So we've got NAS 100, we've got gold, and Aussie dollar. What I really want to explain is this. The origin as to where this came from. Again, thousands of hours of testing in this game. There's a reason why the time that I put in on a consistent basis has come into fruition to have these improvements. Because I'm committed. And that's the difference. Falcon's going to go into its 6th year soon. 6 years. Right, and you're going to see next year a lot of changes in this space. People are just going to be dropping out like flies, already happening anyway. So you got to really start to ask serious questions, especially with the way that the world is right now. It's like, have you actually really evaluated who you want to spend your time with? What values are going to rub off on you? There's a much bigger picture here at hand, and it's scary to me how casual people are about their business. But right, I'm not going to digress into that. I'll take a bit of a Q&A towards the end, but I just want to explain two key things. Some of you said impulsive corrective, right? Trading Falcon style. Some of you might be doing a few other bits. Let me just explain something simply to you. Let's say you've got a run of momentum in the markets to the downside or to the upside. We'll go to the downside in this case. So you've got a run of momentum to the downside, and then the market is naturally pulling back, right? What you would see, some people see it as a pullback like this, to then move back, or you would see it as impulse down. You see what we would call a correction. So we would look for patterns and corrections within these structures for our next move down, and then we would look to continue with that trend, right? So a typical continuation pattern. Now, from my testing as to what the noticeable difference of what you're going to see is that there is a huge difference between the returns when you have something that is what I call a flat. So if something is more of a flat flag like this versus something that has more of an impulse down and then more of a scoop, which I call the hook, which is what you're going to see in there. These side by side, they're both great, right? They're both brilliant. You cannot capitalize on AFT if you still have weak foundations. Everybody wants to look at the big tall tower and say, oh, that tower is amazing, that's huge. Yeah, wait till you see the foundations of how deep the foundations are. You see all the fancy stuff, you see all the shiny stuff at the end, the finished product. That's because foundations were set in. Something so simple like this, you'd be like, oh, that looks easy. Yeah, it looks nice, it looks easy. But mentally, how strong are your foundations? But onto the technical part here. So this structure versus this structure is night and day difference in terms of returns and how sharp the move is. So what I've figured out in the right moments using the right sequence, which we've got all of the content laid out for that. So the content comes out in 2 weeks. So if you're a Falcon student, you will see that coming out in 2 weeks. I did release an exclusive to the FX Live community, because we're in the live sessions. I didn't release the content in terms of the official content, but I gave them a feature topic, which was awesome. Went down really well, and we've got students already in the testing phase of what they need to do. But the official content comes out in 2 weeks, and it's in 2 lessons. There's more content coming on AFT, like I always said, but it's in 2 lessons, and they are very extensive. They're very thorough, multiple examples, higher time frame into the lower time frame. So this is applicable to both. It is going to be phenomenal, because this new addition to AFT, when you've got structure that aligns in that area, it is deadly. An example, these are the areas that we're talking about. So this, for example, see this sell here on the way down? That move, call this move from A to B, right? A here and B here. This movement from here to here, this sell started from this anchor point, this footprint that the market has left to the left here, which is I'll keep up with the questions as quick as possible. I'm just getting into a bit of a technical flow here. However, you have to understand that the bigger moves that you're going to be able to get involved in by understanding your target areas just a little bit more systematic. What is the benefit of this? What I personally believe is going to happen is this. Anyone who's already consistent, so in Falcon, trading the Falcon strategy, who's consistent, their returns will just literally accelerate. Right? There's a trade example that happened today, actually. Ibby, one of our coaches, Ibby, he actually took this trade utilizing this additional method. Right? So I'm not sure if he's still running in the trade. We'll take a look at that. However, it's going to keep it so systematic. So anyone who's already consistent, your returns, just expect them to increase massively. And that's just the reality. And I'm not blowing smoke for the sake of it. It's just the reality of what's going to happen, because I've already seen it on people that have been using it as I've been drip feeding that content in. So to already see that impact straight away is just very, very clear that this is going to have a massive impact. Secondly, someone who is, I would say, not the greatest at filtering. So they know quite a lot about the markets. They know how to trade the strategy, but side by side, they still find it difficult to tell which one to pick, as to like, right, is this a really great trade? Even though it might be similar in their trading plan, they might find it harder to filter. This is going to help with that so much more. So it actually makes it more systematic and more mechanical. Not 100%, because I think that's has a lot of disadvantages to being 100% mechanical anyway. And that's a video for another day. However, this is as systematic as you need it. So then you start to understand, right, I can see how I can capitalize on these moves. So when you start to see things like this, where it's more of a steeper move in the market, these steeper moves in the market, then commit. Which there's a reason why price failed here, but still came back to here before the move. There's a reason why price came up steeply, came back up to test that area, and then went. So when you look at these trades side by side, so this is more of a macro overview, you just get more of a systematic view of the market, put it that way. Let me see any questions here. The hook, I saw it on Aussie Kiwi, and I'm struggling psychologically, which made me fear to take the trade, only to find that it dropped as I had forecasted. Just a drawdown, I wasn't sure whether to sell. Yeah, that was a really, really great position. And Aussie Kiwi for next week, looking absolutely stunning. So there'll be another one. So just focus on that next trade. At least you actually understood what was going on. It's now about making sure that the next time you see that trade, you capitalize on it. Next time I use a lower lot size, you are comfortable with that, I guess, should help. For sure. It's going to take time from a testing phase point of view. So I've got some really great exercises that are involved in these lessons. So you're not just going to watch a lesson and then just be on your own. There is going to be exercises that you can follow. And then there's going to be lesson 2 that comes out after, which is going to have exercises to follow as well. My goal is very simple. I am making sure the community are up to speed, and I said this from when I launched AFT, up to speed, understanding all of AFT, Q3 and Q4, right? Q4, it might extend a little bit into Q1 of testing because I've released phase 2 even earlier. Phase 2 wasn't even meant to come out until the start of the new year, but I thought this would be an incredible time because I have enough testing under my belt to bring that out, as I believe it's going to make results even more efficient. So I've kind of sped that process up. That is going to be incredible. So by the end of the year, going into Q1 of 2023, it's going to be ridiculous. And with the way that the markets are over these next 6 months, this is the time to really accelerate your learning curve and just capitalize on these moves. It's as simple as that. So this is Aussie dollar. I just wanted to show you more of a macro overview of the concept of it. Let me show you a trade today. I didn't take this trade. Ibby took this trade. He's one of our coaches for those of you that are just joining the live. So his trade was in here. I can't remember the exact stop size that he got on it, but it was roughly around this area here, right, just above. Yeah, he might be running a decent amount of percentage on that. I'm sure he's got a little bit locked in, and he'll see how that closes towards the end of the day. But looking very, very solid on the move. But the good news is, by understanding this little point to the left, so some of you might just look at this and go, right, I don't understand the difference, right? Because it's just 1, 2, 3. I get that. That's just a 1, 2, 3. It's not about that. It's when you understand the previous price point. And what did I just show you? There's a difference between this versus this. So just understand that picture. There's a difference between that, between this. What do we have here? You can see this is number 1, this is number 2. You can see that is number 2. So there's no coincidence the price comes up to this area to tag it before we go. But again, there's more to the criteria than that. But I'm just giving you an example of where the entry would be positioned. We also had another AFT entry, which is not phase 2, but phase 1. This entry within here, really, really nice entry. This would be a risk entry move. Probably would have got out with about, I believe, 6% on this one. We were looking for one here. This wasn't on watch for myself, but some of the people in the community had their eyes on watch for this one. Never manifested fully. I mean, this one would be a little bit riskier, this one on the low here. However, even if you didn't take that trade, because you definitely would have increased your risk. I know it worked out temporarily, but not a trade that I would take. It come back up to this point that is AFT phase 2. So this was beautifully executed for those that got involved in it. Really, really was. Mark, I always wanted to ask of how can one do advanced self-review? Sam France, are you currently involved in any? Have you had any education? So are you investing in any education, or have you just been learning online? Because you should have been given some kind of template in the past of advanced self-review. So I'm just curious. You are very welcome. You want to be busy learning the strategy for sure. There's a lot to learn. This content is coming out. It's gonna keep you busy, but for a very good reason, because it will just maximize on your returns and understanding. And I think what it's going to do for many people is cut out a lot of the garbage trades. And then what that will do as a side effect is, by not taking as many garbage trades, the trades that you do take at profit, you start to then average out at a bigger return. So the side effect of what phase 2 will do will be phenomenal. Let's see. Literally, Mark, you come up with the very great knowledge. Thank you. I appreciate that, Waleed. This is in the AFT. Yes, this is going to be in the AFT section. So it's going to be coming out in AFT. I've been studying online. Yeah, Sam. So that's a good indication. And the reason why I asked that question, this is not a dig. This is just the reality of the truth, right? Once you've got the right education, which is why you need to invest in your education to get to those levels, is every question that you have answered. Every resource that you need, you'll have, right? Anything you could possibly need or desire to become successful, you're going to get it. The risk of you just studying online and learning online, there'll be a lot of missing gaps in your trading. So do yourself a favor. Whether it's through Falcon or not, you have to get some form of education, so then you know you're equipped with all the resources. Now, I don't mean education just to get access to a strategy. I mean everything that's connected to it. So, yeah, advanced self-reviews. You really want to be aggressively self-reviewing, right? Call it advanced self-review, aggressive self-review. You have to aggressively review your performance, your emotional state, your technical state, everything. We took it as well. That was brilliant. Yeah, it was fantastic. It was a fantastic position, and it had every single. It's happening more than you would think. These tiny little points, and I think what it will do is it will allow you to get into trades that maybe you didn't really understand. Even if this pulls up, there's going to be another opportunity to get involved in it. That's the beauty of it. Even the trades that don't really fully work out are still committing to a decent enough percentage. Let's have a look at gold. This was a beautiful position. Right, guys, for those asking about joining education, you can check out all the links in the bio, but for now, I would focus on this. You can focus on that after. I want to show you this trade. This is going to be helpful. So this is a really good example. This is a really nice range play on gold. So you see how we broke these lows, right? So we was forecasting this for a while. There's a high chance we're going to break this low and break back in. There was just a lot of reasons leading up to it. We were forecasting this week on week. So I'm not shocked that gold completely pushed through to the upside here. But what you can see on the 1 hour, this was the position through here. Did anyone get gold by any chance? This is the area. So if you had an AFT entry, you would have been talking roughly, well, there was 2 AFT entries. I'll just go through the first one. You'd been looking at roughly, by the time you'd managed the trade, either worst case scenario 11%, right? Depending, it really would have depended on your management, right? To let this pull. I mean, this wasn't a deep pullback, so chances are you could have stayed into it. But by the time this would have been all forming, you would have eventually been out probably around there. So a good that would have been pure top end though. But even just the short term move, right, for around 10%, it's a very, very quick move. And then of course the other entry that was in there as well. But you could have got involved in the 1 hour, you could have got involved in the 15 minute, you could have got an extra entry on the 5 minute. Listen, AFT is not just about time frame, right? Some people think AFT is just about the 5 minute chart. It's not. It goes way deeper than that. It's everything layered together. I'm in gold from the first flag, 1 hour flag. Yeah, nice. Yeah, it was a lovely position. Yeah, focus on the skill, focus on the process. The outcome will just do its thing once you know your stuff. Once you know what you're doing, the outcome will do its thing. So again, another example of understanding these concepts. But the reason why I'm showing you gold is because this actually had AFT phase 2, just a tiny subtle detail which made this trade really, really nice, is what I just showed you, right? That part there is what made this trade incredible, and this trade in here incredible. So if you got double, you might have added 20%. You might have added 10%. That's when it becomes valuable. That's when knowledge becomes powerful, when you know what to look for. To the untrained eye, they would just see, oh, it's just a pattern. That's what you think. But once you know what you're doing and you know what is going on inside the pattern, your deeper understanding is what will allow you to get involved in that position. Because yes, of course, anyone could see there's an impulse, there's a correction, there's an impulse. Of course, I could teach that to someone in about 10 seconds. But how would you emotionally know? How would you technically know that this would be the one to enter over maybe another position for the finer details versus you going on Google and looking at what a bull flag is? It's so much deeper than that. So just understand that. You're not just understanding what a flag is. There's so many variations that go involved in that as to how you can, of course, position yourself correctly, how you increase your risk, how you decrease your risk, how you can have your stop in a safe place versus just underneath the low. Right, there's so many other things that go into this. But what I wanted to showcase to you is that, because questions always are, can I trade this on the NAS? Can I trade this on gold? Yes, you can trade it on commodities, you can trade it on equities, you could trade it on crypto if you really must. I personally wouldn't recommend it because it'll be way more volatile. You have more than enough instruments on foreign exchange, commodities, and indices. You really, really do. So the combination, I mean, there's about 50 trades here in Aussie dollar, so we won't go through all of these. However, these are the more recent ones. That was the one today. Gold was the other day. There's just more and more coming, and next week looks phenomenal. Next week looks phenomenal. My watch list for next week is looking beautiful. I'll be going over all of my prep work and analysis for tonight, of course, because it is SMB prep work. And do you know what I think, guys? We're in a bit of a Q&A now. I just wanted to give you an overview here. Feel free to ask me any questions. But do you know what the big thing is? The reason why I've been able to come up with this and I've been able to add something in, because do you know how difficult it is to improve a strategy? Like, I didn't actively sit there and think, right, I need to improve the strategy. I need to improve the strategy, because the strategy is already phenomenal. But this was a side effect of missed trades. Now, imagine someone who is your teacher, your mentor, and is complacent and just settled with their returns. If they miss trades, it would just be just a missed trade, is what it is, because things are working. Why would I look for anything else? Where what I'm looking at is I'm still, after 15 years, I am still aggressively ASRing. And only upon missed positions, I was able to notice something that could be quantified and could be systematic and simplified, that other people can learn it and benefit from it. That is the difference. I didn't actively go and search to improve, because then you would force something that's just not there. So this came as a side effect of not being complacent. That's the point, that I'm so thorough with everything that I do. What was my reward? My reward was I was able to learn for something that was very important, which happened to have now just literally, it's crazy, accelerated returns. So it's really good to see people catching on to it in the community that have done the work, built good foundations. You know, they've got strong minds. They're really working on themselves, whether it's through Rewired or really putting the work in mentally. They're very organized, structured. They show up, they watch the content, they're loyal, they're committed. These are the people that are doing very, very well. And I love to see it. So when I can bring something out like this that might seem like such a small detail, honestly, it fires me up so much, because I know that the right people that have put the work in will be able to take this knowledge, apply it, and see such a night and day difference in their returns. I'm so hyped for it, guys. It's like literally, what's the date now? We're at 18th of November. It is... yeah, it's a couple of weeks away, and this content is coming out. Of course, the FX Live guys have got a little bit of a taste to start going into it, but you're going to have full illustrations, exercises, worksheets. It's going to be phenomenal, guys. But any questions, feel free to ask me any questions. How's everybody's week been overall as well? But not the comparison of strategies. Come on, guys. You know, there must be, 1,000 people out there. I'm sure this must be the same account, because it's the same question each time. Please ask, don't get mad at me. How can you view ICT, Inner Circle, or SMC from your perspective? I'm curious to you guys. Why do you always want to know that answer? Why does it matter? That's the bigger question. Why would you care? Why does it matter? Exactly that. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Falcon is in its own lane. It always has been, which is why we are original from day one. That's it. So that's why I don't get into the comparison of this versus that. Honestly, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Listen, some people are not going to be around in a year from now. They won't even be trading the same system. So do you really think I want to waste my energy on comparing strategies of people that would recommend the strategy, and a year later they're trading a different strategy? It's like, what's the point? You know, you can't take people's word for that. So it actually doesn't matter. But a real question. Has anybody got a real question? Because the comparisons of strategies it's just not worth it. It's not worth your time anyway. Exactly. What is the lowest time frame you trade? 5 minute time frame. AFT, Advanced Falcon Trader. I also got confused when it comes to pairs. Do the DXY going up and you see USD CAD dropping or showing a sell opportunities. Yeah, Webster, I understand what you're talking about. I wouldn't, when you're ever confused like that, try not to correlate the DXY to too many different things. What you want to do is you want to trade the pair on its own merit. So, for example, if you're looking at the DXY to sell off, and then you also might be looking at dollar yen, but then dollar yen looks like a long, trade dollar yen on its own merit, because when that plays out, that thesis of DXY, dollar yen still might have banked you 18% in the process. Because it's lagging, it's not going to be candle by candle. So if you're ever confused, always go with a pair that has its own merit. If you're looking at something like euro dollar, that's a bit more simple because it's more inverse correlation. Where dollar CAD, dollar yen, I mean, you can argue there's bits of correlation there, but it's no way near the same because there's different fundamentals that will affect that. Different things affect that, especially if it's USD CAD. So just trade the pair on its own merit, and that will be so much more simpler for your mind. So Mark, what is your take for someone who joined the Falcon community before you introduced the AFT and couldn't get hold of the AFT course? Is the person not competent anymore in the market? Jammer, no, of course not. You can be competent on the 1 hour, even if you joined before you touched the 15-minute chart. If I said, Jammer, the only way you can trade, you could never unlock. Imagine you wasn't allowed to see the 15-minute time frame or the 5-minute time frame. Let's say you were in a weird scenario restricted completely, and all you could ever see and analyze is the 1 hour to make your decisions. You can still be profitable. Advanced is advanced for a reason, because naturally as you become more advanced, you go to advanced entries, and you only become advanced when you master the most simple things. If you can't master and be successful and make profit on the 1 hour, well then you're not going to make profit on the 5-minute. Like, lower the time frame doesn't generate more returns. It doesn't always work like that. Sometimes you're better off taking the trade on the higher time frame, which if it's present and it makes more sense, I would rather opt in for a 1 hour entry on certain scenarios. It's about knowing when to execute it, which again, all that content's laid out for you in AFT, so you'll know how to deal with it. Do trend lines really work? Do you know what? I've never understood that question. What does that even mean? No, who's trading the trend line exactly? I mean, this is technically a trend line, right? But it's not the trend line that we're trading. This is just an analysis tool. This is why it cracks me up. You're not trading the trend line. No one's doing this. If this is what you're thinking, no one is doing this. I don't know anyone who trades like this. We definitely don't trade like this. So I'm not sure why anyone would be under that illusion. No one is doing that and then going, right, sell. Oh, when it gets to here, sell. Oh, look, it didn't work. Like, no one's doing that, and I'm not sure who's got that information who thinks that's true, because no one is. And the same way, no one is doing this. Going, buy. Oh, buy. It didn't work. Trend lines don't work. You know how foolish that is. No one is trading the trend lines. We're just using these tools to analyze the structure of the market. That's it. So you could argue and go, oh, trend lines don't work. I'm inclined to agree with you to an extent. But show me structure doesn't work. Show me that. Don't worry, I'll wait. I'll be in the office all night and waiting to see where structure doesn't work. I'll give you 40 years of data and you can go find it for me where it doesn't work. Structure, we're not trading trend lines. We are trading reoccurring patterns in the market that have occurred for 30 years. And what a coincidence, they're still occurring today on the NAS. Same thing. Is Falcon Fund going to open to the public in the future? Potentially, but it'll be 80-20. So it will always be, at the moment it's 100% exclusive to the Falcon community, but in the future it may be 80-20, but only for the most competent traders. Mark, you teach us to manage the profit on the 1 hour. However, would you be okay managing on the lower time frame when the trade is taken on the lower time frame? Miguel, I would still stick to the 1 hour. Now, you might find certain scenarios where you'd look back and go, if I would have managed on the 15-minute or lower, I would have made a bit more profit. And I will agree with you, sometimes that will happen. However, in the long run, my fear is this: if you start going into the lower time frames, you will start managing too aggressively, and then you start skewing the risk to reward in the opposite to your favor, because you'll choke a lot of positions. I know it's appealing sometimes when you see the market pulling back a bit sharply, and then you go, right, I need to manage that, I need to get out of the trade. But again, where have those emotions got you so far? Has that got you towards making 20, 30K a month? And if it hasn't, well then go to the 1 hour, be disciplined, stick to it. Because when you're trading bigger amounts of capital, as that account gets larger and larger, you'll thank yourself for not choking positions. Let's see any other questions. Do you believe that trend lines are used as dynamic support and resistance, i.e. they create supply and demand zones when broken and usually retested? Not so much. I mean, there may be elements and truth into all these things. What I believe is this: it's just a guide tool, really and truly, to actually mark on where structure is. That's it. What I mean by that is, even if I got rid of all of this, I would still be able to trade. You do realize that? I would still be able to. I'll give you an example. Right, let's get USD CAD. Right, USD CAD. Right, USD CAD. This was a recent. Have I got it on there? Yeah, that was a beautiful position. This was a beautiful position. This 7.2. This is a missed trade, right? So this is a 15% missed position. Let's say this wasn't on there, and it was just this. Would I still be able to see that position? Would I still be able to take that trade? Even without any trend lines, could I take that position? Yes, because I know what I'm looking for. So it's not the trend lines. This is the structure of the market. I can literally find you that structure. I mean, how many times over how many years of data? Which someone said to me before, do patterns still work? Is that actually a joke? As long as humans are alive, patterns still work, my friend. So, again, no trend line needed. You can take it. Does the trend line neaten it up? Does it give you a bit more accuracy so you can see between what is happening with the picture? Yes. But I mean, even if you just wanted to, if you really wanted to, you could just box it off just so you can see it a bit clearer. So all it really does is a guide. That's it. So there's going to be certain scenarios which you wouldn't even need it if you really didn't want to. However, there's going to be certain structures in which that having the understanding of the internal patterns really does benefit you. But again, those are patterns within patterns, and that's a different day for a different lesson. How can you say something doesn't work but you never tried it? Is that a question? I've been trading long enough to try pretty much everything. So unless there's a strategy I haven't tried, there'd be no benefit for me doing that because it would be a complete waste of time. Even if it did add an extra 3% a month, it would still be a waste of time. Because when is enough enough? When is enough enough? That same greed that most people are looking for to just add an extra percentage here and there, that's the reason why you keep losing. Because nothing is never enough. You make 10%, you're going to want 12. You make 12%, you're going to find something, oh, maybe that can make me 15. That's the reason why you're still losing. Do you consider fundamentals? Nope, not at all. Unless there's a major news announcement like an election and something to be aware of, then yes, but anything else is just noise. Does a Falcon strategy work for people who are in a 9-to-5, assuming that the person is actively following habits? For sure. A majority of people are in a 9-to-5 before they break out and start making money and then decide or in a position to choose to go full-time. So I would argue sometimes when you're in a 9-to-5, it's actually easier because you're not distracted by the charts all day long. You're more thorough with your planning. You know, you plan it out. You know your rules. You know everything you need to do, and you just get on with your day. It's not a disadvantage being in a job, put it that way. It's funny seeing your chart and actually realizing the amount of opportunity the strategy produces. 100%, Chris. It's even till this day, truthfully, I've been training for a long period of time, and for this to still blow my mind is just it's crazy to me. So I'm so pleased that all of the hours. It took a long time. Like this was like over a year and a half in the live market of just the first part of AFT. You know how long that is, and how much you have to tame your excitement, but then at the same time being responsible enough to know that things need to be tested and thorough enough that if I release this, it has to be so battle tested that it only benefits the community. That was the tough part. It wasn't actually the adjustment itself, because I knew what I was doing and it came to me because, you know, I'm obsessed with this craft. So I know naturally I would fall into something that it would improve. However, it was taming that excitement where I wanted to release it a lot earlier, but I knew I needed to do more testing before I done that. Welcome guys to the live. We have, right, so we're a little bit over, but we're going to go for probably about another 6 more minutes. I originally planned to do a 30-minute live to just answer these questions. Hopefully all these questions have been answered for that. And then I'm into analysis mode. So I have a lot of things I'm going to be doing tonight, and then more additions. We're getting into the editing process of the content at the moment because we're a couple of weeks away. So that content will be coming out. So just working on a few additions that are going to go with it. But the content has been recorded, which I'm really excited about. Yeah, you got to put some serious work into this. No messing around. Even till this day, still on the ball, because I love it. I think when you people love to say they love what they do, but they don't love what they do. I mean, when you're truly obsessed and you love what you do, good things will happen. Any more questions? Anyone else have a question about comparisons of strategies? Feel free to not ask. Mark, I just wanted to say thank you. I've been a member for 3 years now, and I've been trading 100k, going for funding next year. Mansa, that's sick. Love that. Absolutely love that. So, Mark, you came up with AFT due to the change in market conditions? No, I came up with AFT from missing trades. So it was an addition to just me aggressively looking at, okay, so why did I miss this trade? Why did I miss this trade? And then I found something that I know that could not only help me get involved in trades when I missed a position, because everyone misses trades. You can't effectively get every position. And then that gave me the prompt to look into what I was looking at in more detail. And then I found extra trades, more refinement, better stop placement, and bigger risk to reward. So I didn't actually intend to find anything that was going to accelerate the returns, because the returns were already enough. It was the other side of it. Mark is trading only 5 pairs for a year, limiting yourself. I mean, 5 is still plenty. 1 or 2, I personally wouldn't. I'm sure there's people that have found the way to do it. It's more so just understanding that sometimes the market is just awful for a period of time. And what I mean by that is, let's just actually look. Something like dollar CAD. Let me show you. Dollar CAD is pretty good, to be honest. But even so, even just in this period, right? So you see from roughly, for about a year, all of this, these were the juicy trades. These were the ones we capitalized. This was very early on in the Falcon project. These were the really juicy positions. However, in this period, right, this is even before Falcon started, in this period here, let's say I was only trading dollar CAD, for example. You could say, oh, you're limiting yourself. It's not so much you're limiting yourself. You just have to understand that this environment versus this environment is very different, right? This environment versus that run here is very different. There are so many trades in that move. It's insane. In here, there's a lack of commitment, which creates this move to actually drop to the downside. However, that's why I would say, well, why are you limiting yourself to 5 pairs? Is it because you think you're trying to master every one of them? Well, imagine you had mastered, let's say you spent a whole year mastering something, and let's say this was a 2 or 3 year run. You would be mastering that exactly. But what about this? So my question is, if you're used to trading that, what happens when the market starts doing this? Are you just going to go into excessive drawdown? Are you just going to go drawdown after drawdown after drawdown and just keep telling yourself, well, oh, but yeah, my law of large numbers, my strategy will play out? I don't think so. I think you're going to get caught in a web of drawdown until you realize that you're 6 months in. So that's why I don't see the benefit of just limiting to just 5 pairs, or even 3 pairs for that matter. Welcome, anyone just joining the live. Brian, looking forward to having you back in the community, man. Hope all is well your side. Yeah, there's lots more coming for you to dig into that is going to definitely improve what you're doing. But I'm glad to hear it. That's amazing. Do you combine waves patterns with Falcon style to a certain accuracy. The market is moving in waves, so naturally there's going to be a crossover of things like Elliott wave, but we're not counting waves, right? I'm not doing what an Elliott wave trader would do. If anything, sometimes we might even be conflicting, so I wouldn't compare it. There'll be an Elliott wave trader that might literally say, oh, that's a B wave, and then I could go in and say, oh, it's a C wave. And a lot of it can be subjective, but I mean, that's a correction, right? We can all agree that's a correction. Right, that's an impulse. Just keep it as simple as possible. I've seen the debates that Elliott wave traders get into with another Elliott wave trader, and they start counting waves differently, using different things. I've traded that way before. I mean, the Elliott wave does work. It's actually far more complex. I think it's more complex than necessary because most of these traders that are trading Elliott wave, they're so complex with their decision making. It takes them half hour to figure out a trade. And then they start counting again and again. It's hilarious. Simplify what you're doing. Is it available to members only? The Falcon Fund? Yes. Yeah. So the fund is currently exclusive for Falcon members. And in the future, I will open it up to be 80-20 for people that are competent traders. Will then have the opportunity to do that. And then they will have the opportunity to trade on the virtual floor as well. So we're gonna make this big. But the whole idea behind that, of course, we can vet the traders, so we know the traders trading with the capital are good. They're getting the coaching, they're getting the mentoring, they've got the support. We can look over trades if need be. We can step in when we need to, and we can give them the actual support that they need to scale up in their life as well, rather than just being a spreadsheet or a number with a random prop firm. So completely different. Especially with the higher levels as well. All right, it took us 2 years to create this. Again, the stuff that we do, it's not a knee-jerk reaction. It takes time, and that's why we have strong infrastructure in place to stand the test of time. And the fact that we get to improve the strategy along the way, which happened as a side effect of just the work ethic, is incredible. So I am hyped, as you can imagine. I know I said 5 minutes. We're gonna go till 8 p.m. guys. So I'm gonna keep this live going for the full hour. So if you have any more questions, feel free to ask away. Is it advisable to look at the AFT for traders who aren't profitable? Chucks, there's two sides to that. It depends on your lack of profitability, because what I would say is this: sometimes you're 1 or 2 decisions away from being profitable. So in certain scenarios, it could be the very thing that takes you from where you are to being profitable. In a lot of other scenarios, there's probably some missing gaps at a foundational level that is stopping you being profitable. So I wouldn't come in and say someone who is really, really inconsistent in the market is going to jump into AFT and then suddenly be this ultra profitable trader. It doesn't really work like that. However, you could know what you're doing to a better degree than what you think, and it's just in your lower time frame, it's not systematic enough, and you're just jumping into too many trades, leads to too much drawdown. Therefore, something like AFT may help with the filtering process, which helps in you taking better trades, which would, of course, then increase the chance of you being profitable. So there's not a one-size-fits-all answer. It really depends on where you're at personally. What's your bias on gold in the coming weeks? Well, we did analyze gold, so looking at gold, bit of a pullback to head higher, short-term sells. But we're at a very important, we're in a very, very important area and the start of a bigger structure as we speak, actually. So temporarily, we might drop a little bit lower. I'm looking for one more move up, one move down, and then looking for the continuation along. So we're probably a week away for the buy. But as of right now, I'm looking for that. The only way the sell would come into play is because of this area to the left. And we would have to take a look at this part here. So if you see this stretch a bit too far further than this, so you see these highs where we broke out of it, if we're trading below that, then definitely not buy. You'd be looking to sell that into the low. But as of right now, buy is still in motion. So hopefully that answers your question on gold. Love all the content you put in. I've been following your posts and looking forward to becoming a member. We look forward to having you. It's going to be an exciting end to the year, and it's not too late. It's not too late for you to get yourself involved, get properly educated, and set yourself up for 2023. 2023 will probably be one of the biggest years financially, just with how the markets are looking, how volatile they'll be, how much opportunity there'll be. There is so much opportunity for you to grow, and with the way that the world is at the moment, you can't afford not to. You cannot be wasting 2023. You need a proper plan. You need to make some serious sacrifices. You need to cut out all the crap people in your life. You need to get rid of these people online that you follow. You need to stop following 17 different traders and comparing yourself to other people. You need to get focused with a game plan and goals, and focus on improving not just trading but all areas of your life. And you should be thinking about how are you going to get the most out of 2023. It doesn't happen 1st of Jan. It happens now. Oh, we also have in a couple of weeks as well our end of year event in London. Oh, I'm buzzing. I can't believe everything is coming so quick. That's why there's just so much going on at the moment. And again, that's why when people ask, what do you think of this versus this? I haven't got time to compare. We're so focused on our mission and where we're going. I have zero time to start comparing as something like a strategy versus our strategy. It makes no sense whatsoever. Any tips on refining a trading plan? Yes. We actually have an episode on that in our resources section. So on the Falcon dashboard, if you're a Falcon member, you'll be able to see that. You got a full episode on that to help you refine your plan, which is so valuable, because once your plan is refined, you can of course move forward and start to move towards becoming profitable. Because if you're just shooting in the dark, it's going to be very difficult to be profitable. Alexander, hi Mark, would you say your teaching is more of a swing type of trading? How long roughly do you say in trades, days, weeks? So good question. It's not a swing style trading. The good thing is about the way that we trade is that if you were a swing trader, you could swing these entries. That's the beauty of it, because you could swing them from a structural point of view. You may have, you might be compromised from a risk to reward point of view. So if you were to swing it, the returns would definitely be lower, and that's just because you'd be placing it on a higher time frame and your stop sizes would be bigger. I mean, that would be true for any system. However, it really depends on the way that you trade and the way that you set things. So for example, imagine someone who took gold in this area. Let's say they were looking to sell it. If you was to swing it from this area to this low, you could be holding that and say, right, I haven't got time to be on the charts all the time. This is how I'm going to take these trades. I want to manage them very loosely. You would swing that entry. Someone else may not want to do that, and they're getting involved in the intradays, and they could be, for example, like this previous position, in and out within 5-6 hours, and they've made their 15 or 20%, and then it happened like that. So it's really a combination of both. It really depends on your lifestyle, how much time you've got in front of the charts. If you literally can't manage a position for 8 hours, well then you're going to miss out on those opportunities in which that you could have locked in profit. So then you would almost be forced into letting the pairs breathe a little bit more. So it's flexible enough to accommodate both, but it's not really a swing style or an intraday style. We tend to look at more intraday movements, but again, I wouldn't label it this or that. It's really about having the flexibility to do all of it, which I think is amazing. Imagine if I was going traveling for 4 months and I wasn't going to have access to Wi-Fi as much. What would I do? I would adapt. I would still trade exactly how I'm trading. I would just adapt a little bit and realize maybe I can't get involved in micro movements, and I would let it breathe a little bit more, and I would swing the plays out, and that's it. And that's the beauty of it. So hopefully that answers your question. It's a good question though, really good question. Markets for next week are looking good. Yeah, we've got a lot on here. A lot going on. Germany 30 for next week. We've got some nice movement coming on Euro Sterling as well. I've been trading Euro Sterling quite a lot recently, it's been really good. I've really enjoyed it. It's been solid from a returns point of view. Got some recaps coming out for that as well. Lovely trade here. This one was a 1% loss. This was a nice tidy profit. This was a break even. Yeah, there's some There's some really decent trades looking at this for next week as well. But I appreciate all the questions, guys. I appreciate all the questions that are sent in. It's going to be a big week. So anyone has any extra AFT questions, feel free to jump into the live chat on the website, click the links in the bio wherever they are, and you can check out Falcon. You can send me a DM on IG or Falcon on IG. Happy to answer any questions. But only for the serious people. If you're seriously looking for education and you want to learn, then feel free to send us a message. But if you're not serious, then what are you playing at? You know, what are you going to be doing next year? What are you going to be doing in December? Are you going to be relaxing and chilling, or are you going to be actually setting your life up for 2023? You got to go in hard, people. Look at what's happening in the world. Increases of prices everywhere, inflation. This should be the biggest wake-up call to so many of you all across the globe, that these bigger entities, whatever you want to call them, do not care about you, right? And the way that the world will go, things will become more and more difficult if you don't do the work now. You don't want to be one of these people in a couple of years from now thinking, oh, if only if I would have just put my all in, I could be in a completely different position where I'm not leveraged, I'm not forced to work a job that I don't like, I'm competent, I know my stuff, I've got a trading account, got prop firms, got a good inner circle, I'm making money, I'm moving forward. Don't be that person that misses out just because you're not willing to make the relevant sacrifices now. Does having a mentor in this industry make your trading journey more easy and successful? 100%. There is no doubt about it. There is not even a question. If there was one comparison, and I'm not sure why people want to dance around that, there is no comparison. That would be like saying, imagine you was going to the gym, would having an instructor who is competent, ripped up, in shape, by your side, coaching you both from a workout point of view and mentally, and being there and checking your food, would that improve your results and save you time? Of course. Is someone who is competent, who is your mentor, helping you, not just from a technical perspective, but mindset, having that inner circle, that support, is that going to be a necessity for you to succeed in one of the most toughest industries? 1,000,000%. So you doing it on your own, you're giving yourself a very, very slim chance. There's not many people that I know that do that. Not many people that I know, and there's no shame in that. I've had help. I've had support. I'm not sure why people would want to sit there and do this on their own. Is this actually live? Well, I think it is. Those ones always crack me out. Is this actually live? And then they may ask again and say this is a loop. But how would I have answered? Mark, any ventures that you'd recommend investing your Forex money into? Yeah, if you know the right type of property deals, I would go for those. I wouldn't just, say property as a whole, but the right type of property deals would be very advantageous. The best way to approach and analyze NAS 100 using Falcon. What's the difference in terms of pattern, clarity, value areas? Exactly the same. The same way you trade euro dollar on Falcon is the same way you trade the NAS 100 on Falcon. No loop. You're very welcome. Hey Mark, is it wise to take a funded challenge in Q4 or wait to 2023? I'm in a hurry to make money since my house is flooded at the moment. King Jar Jar, I wouldn't be rushing to do anything. If you're rushing to make money, it's going to be more detrimental to you. It's going to be more detrimental to you. I would be waiting. If you're under extreme stress, I mean, that's such an extra level of pressure. If your house is flooded, to then want to make money for that and put you in a worse situation. Mark, Liverpool to win the Premier League. Or I don't know, that's a tough one. That's a tough one, because that could be a costly move. That could be a costly move. Where do we think Liverpool are finishing this season? Optimistic forecasts only. Are we going 4th spot? I think it's a strong chance. For those of you that are football fans, I think it's still a strong chance for City to win. I mean, Arsenal are absolutely smashing it right now. And I think it's going to be out of those two, first and second, because Arsenal are not slowing down. However, We will. The optimistic Liverpool fan in me says we need to get fourth spot at least, with a terrible start of season and form. How many Liverpool fans in the house? All of you. Oh, I didn't realise. Everyone's a Liverpool fan now. That's amazing. Welcome everyone. Can we expect any course discount this upcoming Black Friday? So no, we don't do anything on Black Friday. I think it's a really poor mentality to be waiting for these type of things. Listen, guys, you never hear of someone that discounted their way to success. You never hear of someone that discounted their way to success. So you have to understand, you don't want to be one of these people that are always waiting for a sale. Like, that scarcity mindset is the very reason why you're not going to be successful in the first place. I've personally never been that way. I'd rather, if I'm going to commit to something, I'm going to commit. I'm not going to wait 4 months' time just in case there's a little discount or a sale. You shouldn't be thinking like that. You should be doing whatever you can to do it as quick as possible, because time waits for no one, my friends. Time waits for no one. Man City fan here. Man City are flying. I'm a big football fan, so I just love football as a whole. Sheffield Wednesday. Now that's a dedicated, hardcore fan. Arsenal. I'm a Falcon FC. Do you have a MyFX book? Do you have a MyFX book? I've got this book. I've got a really nice book here. But yes, I am tracked. I have private investment. Mark, would you ever own a football club? Do you think it would be a viable business? Well, from what I've seen of the football clubs that are being bought for 100 million, 200 million, sold for 4 billion after, I mean, looks pretty decent return. I wouldn't know the first thing on buying a football club, but who knows ventures in the future. You should come to South Africa, do those meetings with Falcon students. This side, 100%. It's definitely on the cards. We were going to come a couple of years ago before this nonsense started, so we would have already been out there. So definitely one of our plans, guys. But it's been a pleasure. Everyone, thank you for jumping on the live. I really appreciate those that have taken the time to ask some serious questions. I'm confident that would have brought you a lot of value in your journey as well. I am going to continue. I've got lots of work to do, so I'm going to be in the lab for all evening. I've got loads of things to get on with. Going to be making some nice adjustments to the new AFT content that is coming out, of course, as well. The Kaiser Chiefs. Unfortunately, I don't. World Cup, who will win? I think England, right? England are favourites. I'm optimistic, right? I'm optimistic. You can't bring someone down who's optimistic. We'll see. If Trent Alexander for Liverpool plays in England, then we'll win. If defensive Southgate keeps him on the bench, then maybe not. So we will see. But thank you for all the questions, people. Enjoy your evening. Hopefully this has brought some value to you. It's going to be a very exciting week for next week as well. So keep an eye on the markets, because looks like we have squeezed into quite a lot of moves. So I would expect next week is probably going to be quite explosive again, because the market is literally flowing. And as you can see right now, it's that next little squeeze. We can see it across the board on multiple pairs. I've already got a very good indication as to what I'm likely looking at for next week, and it looks very, very strong. So let's make it happen. But enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone. Thank you for jumping on the live as well. Let us know if you have any follow-up questions. You can just drop them in the comments after this. Let's keep it moving forward. Seriously, let's keep it moving forward. Take care, everyone. Appreciate it. See you guys. It is saved. It is saved. So this will upload after. So if you came in a little bit late and you have those questions, it is saved, so you'll catch it there. Take care, people. Have a great one. Let's get ready for a big week.